Morning we're looking at my inheritance. My inheritance. What is inheritance? What is it all about? I want to know if our guest has joined us by Zoom. Barrister Kemisola, are you there? Oyetayo. Barrister Kemisola Oyetayo, are you there? Okay, while we're waiting for her, we can just okay, while we're waiting for her to join us, I have another guest right here with me in the studio. Hey, these guests. They call her Deborah Ari or Ori. We have seen you before.
Yeah.
That's a name. But she is known also, popularly known as Deborah's Mama. It's so good to have you this morning, Deborah's Mama. How are you?
Nice meeting you again.
It's so good to be here. She's also an OAPO. Don't mind her. We're talking about my inheritance. She is a teen and a family coach and also a mental health therapist. And even as we continue in this discussion, I want to ask about Mama, how do we put this together? What is an inheritance? Who is entitled to an inheritance? What is it all about? You see children of nowadays. It's my inheritance. They told me now. I have every, one thing is to have right. A toy is right.
Yes.
Inheritance is ogun.
Yes.
In Yoruba. I don't know what they call it in Igbo and Hausa. So if you have one, just send it on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. They call it ogun in Yoruba. So you see these days, our young ones, like the book of Luke chapter 15, from verse 11, that are all out. They want to get their inheritance. They lay claim to it. They feel they are entitled to it at any point in time of their life, whether they are 16. We have seen a child of 16, 18, dealing with the parent, because the way these children grow these days, can we blame God that he has given us a child who has grown so big and so huge? And you hear the age and you marvel and say, wow, are you sure this boy is yet to be 18? And some of them kill their parents in the process of asking, demanding. There's a difference between asking and demanding. Demanding.
Feeling it's time.
Give me my inheritance. I don't want to wait again. I know what my mates are making. So to you as a teen and a marriage coach, what is inheritance?
Okay. So inheritance is that belonging and those things, those values that you have in store for your offspring, the children that you have. So for me, seeing it with the view of a family coach, I would say that inheritance is not just about the wealth that we leave behind, the properties that we leave behind. It goes to the identity that we leave behind. It goes to the values. It goes to the emotional wealth that we also leave behind for our children. I know that some people these days, some kids these days, by the time they are 18, they will say, Daddy, I don't know when you will die, because people are dying earlier than expected these days. And that's why some children can just go and demand, like, I want to have all what belongs to me. Like the child in the Bible who went to the father and was saying, I'm due for my
give me my inheritance.
Yes,
I'm due for
inheritance.
it. That kind of thing.
Are they matured enough emotionally and in all regards to be able to handle what belongs to them now? So I would say that as a family coach, it's not about you leaving something for them, but leaving more than the wealth. Because even some parents, they are already pronouncing everything. Oh, I'm doing this because of you.
Now,
I'm building
before you go further, let me now put it to you. What can we classify to be inheritance? Is it the items, the assets, or the knowledge, the well-being? What are those things? Can you help us to,
Okay.
you know,
So
put
let's
them to
start from
analysis?
the assets is an inheritance. But beyond that, we also have identity. So beyond you just giving your child a name, Deborah is my name, right? But that name, my parents' name, Babarinde, let's take
Yeah.
for example now. That's the name I grew up with,
So,
and
yeah.
I dropped at marriage, right?
Yeah.
So anywhere I go to and that name is being mentioned, what are people saying, or how do people perceive the name?
Yeah.
That is an inheritance that you have taken from your parent. So like for example, a man went to another town entirely to go and work, and he mentioned his father's name, and someone said, oh wow, I know your father, he was once a staff in this place, they welcomed me well. That is an inheritance for him, because his father has sown the good deed,
You know?
for him to inherit. So that's the part of identity. In the part of influence, what are the things that we as parents, we are putting into the life of these
Of our
children
children.
in terms of how we behave, how we see things, our mindset, the way we handle situation. When we lack, how do we handle it? When we have in abundance, how do we handle it? So these are things that we can also pass to our children as well. So we are giving them the assets. When they have the asset, what will they do to it? It is what you have passed to them,
Into them,
the
that
knowledge,
they need to
the
handle it.
mindset regarding abundance, regarding lack. That's how they will be able to manage the assets that they have. And what about the emotional state and the spiritual state? I'm saying spiritual in terms of our emotions, our mental health state.
Yeah.
Yes. For example, my sister offends me, I am still keeping the grudge, I'm still keeping malice with my sisters, my
Unforgiveness.
siblings. I have passed this to my children. By the time my children grew up,
also.
they don't even recognize my own family again. So what inheritance will they get at the end of the day? Inheritance of hatred.
Oh my God.
So we as parents should teach them to forgive. Yes, forgiveness is a big thing,
big
but
thing.
Beyond just having family, how do they see you interact with other neighbors? How do they see you interact with your family, with people around you, relationship, and so many other ways that we can give them inheritance.
Okay, so is there anything like rejecting inherited traits or beliefs?
Yes, there is.
How?
So as we grow up, there are some things, like I will say to women, what are the things that my mom did that I don't like? I need to reflect on those things. That's how we can know, because sometimes we don't know that what our parents are doing are not right if we don't really sit down and reflect on them. Oh, my mom did this, my mom did that, but myself, I'm going to work on myself. That is intentionality. Working on yourself so that you won't be like your mom or your father, right? Because when we don't take this emotional and the mental or the spiritual aspect of our life seriously, we pass a generational pattern to our children. So by so doing, we are telling them this is how to live, and meanwhile it is not healthy. How do we cope with situation? Resilience, all these things are the things we pass to them. Oh, I remember one of the things that my mom went through while I was living with her, because I left her at age 9. But at that little age of mine, I saw certain things that I told myself, I'm not going to be like this as a woman. I was going to work and be hardworking, because it's not that she was not working, but the husband said, don't work.
You are so shit.
Just be,
Many of our
you have to wait for your husband to cook, wait for your husband to do this, wait for your husband to wear clothes, all these things. So myself, she passed it, right? But I said no, I was not going to be like that.
Because you have seen between the lines,
yes,
and you know it's not the right thing to do.
It wasn't healthy at all. So it's possible for us to work on ourselves when we see that the things that our parents are, the patterns they have
those
made
traits and
available,
beliefs, we need to
we can change
take them out of a
Yes.
circle. Now, let's talk about the value that comes with inheritance.
Okay.
What you have inherited. What values can we really pinpoint and can be of help to the generation that we have around us now? The generation that believe, okay, mommy bought or daddy bought this particular property in a particular place and decide to say, no, I don't like that area. I will just decide to sell it and go to another area. Meanwhile, what the parents were looking at then, years back when they had that property, is not what they are seeing now.
Definitely.
I believe if I'm in the midst of, certain set of people, some of them don't even dig deep to know, why those people are staying there. And they don't want to know what it was that made their parents to actually get that property or those assets at that time they got it. Do they really need to know? And what has value got to do with those inherited items?
All right. It's like you said, value. Value is very important, because if you train your child and a child has the right value, he knows that whatever is given to him should be appreciated. Him or her. It should be appreciated, whether it's in the bush or not in the bush, or whether you like it or you don't like it, you appreciate first. Then you now say, oh, what will I do with this asset? This is an asset that your parent has toiled for. They've spent their savings on. So this is a value that they ought to have before they grew to that age of claiming that inheritance. Knowing that they also will become a parent one day.
Very soon.
They will work and they will say, oh, let me save and let me have a property. This ad for my children, this for A, this for B. How would they feel? That's where empathy comes in. How would they feel if any of their children is now saying, oh, daddy, why did you go and build a house in that area? Why did you buy property in that area? Like, you are saying to your parents, you don't have sense. You are telling them you didn't see well. You have myopic mind and so many other things. So this is where value comes in. That is why we need to build the right value in the mind of our children beyond the properties. So let me say a story. There's a place behind my own street. I think some years ago, the dad died, so left with the mother. He has 2 kids, 2 boys. So when the brother wanted to travel, he was looking for, let me sell this thing or do this. But the elder brother didn't agree with him. They got into fighting. In fact, he went into the news that year. They went into fighting and the elder brother killed his younger brother.
Okay.
So what is the inheritance there? The house is there, abandoned, because they took the elder brother to jail. Yes, because it became a law thing, and it went into the news, both print and media. So,
and they're just 2. He killed the younger brother, and now he's in prison. None of them was married.
None of them at that point, because they were still young, trying to
a generation done wipe off.
So what is the inheritance? He left an asset, right? But what is the mind that he has? What value do those children have to be able to maintain that inheritance?
Now, before we go for the break, I want to find out, does that mean that when you pass down this inheritance to these children, one should also, put some clause? Can we say those parents who put clause on their inheritance in their will before they pass?
Yes.
No, some of them will put clause until when this child has been able to get married and or say achieve certain things. This certain thing should not be handed over to. Can we say it is right, or can we say it is wrong?
Okay.
Because some will say, what? He's my father now. I'm the only child. So why should he? So that was what I actually wanted, but we'll be going to that, yeah. So can we say it is right? Can we say it is wrong?
It's
putting
not
those
wrong.
clause.
It's not wrong putting a clause. If your child is so young to handle the assets, then you have to, that's security, like how call it. It's security. You are securing the life of that child, because the child will not be able to handle it at certain time in his or her life.
True.
So some will even say until she marries.
Yeah.
Until he marries.
Or maybe he had a child. Yeah.
Yes.
Some
So
put that
these
too.
are security measures, that clauses that you can put. And how many people are writing will?
Because with the story you just told now,
Yes,
if there were to be a will
it will help.
with such a clause,
It will help them.
even if something like that
they will
happens,
be praying.
they'll be, hey, I want to get I want to get married, I want to finish my masters, I want to get my BSc, I want to do this.
And the mind of responsibility will be in there. That until I'm able to achieve this thing, I won't get this. So let me be serious with my life. So that clause is helpful in any will that we write.
It's helpful in any will that we write. It's time for us to go for our short break on this program, Family and Values. And let's take our word on marble. We'll be right back because Deba's mama is still very much here. Stay tuned. Back is still Family and Values. And from our word on marble, it said inheritance is what you leave with people. Inheritance is what you leave with people. A legacy is what you leave with your own children, your loved ones, people that are around you. A legacy is what you leave with someone that is close to you or your mentee. That is what you leave with them. So as we've been talking with Deborah Areori, aka Deborah's mama, and our topic has been my inheritance. My inheritance. Deborah's mama, I want to find out, does inheritance comes with responsibility?
Yes, it does.
But do you think the generation we have now knows the responsibility that comes with? Because all they just want is, I'm loud. I want to be loud. I want to be there. I want to be everywhere. I need a car. I need to, have my own place. I need my own space. I just want to spend. So what responsibility can we ascertain and push out to these ones this morning that comes with inheritance?
Okay. So inheritance comes with responsibility, like we said, and therefore we need to inculcate the right values in the minds of our children before we give them the inheritance they are demanding for or asking for. We need to really train them. And because the society we have now is full of materialistic people. People who just want to have all the things, all the money, all the assets, and what would they do with them? They squander it. They will now come. Their own case will not be like this.
It's not the prodigal son now.
The prodigal son who squander everything and came back to the father.
Now remember,
but
then
some of them will have gone.
Some of them
parents will have gone.
Okay.
So what will they do with it? Then their life will be in mess because they are not able. Some people say, Olowano. Say someone who was rich yesterday. He had an inheritance full of wealth, full of assets, but his story is yesterday's story. Why? Because he has squandered all what he had. In the time when 2 million was a big money, right? Some people have inherited such an amount. Maybe by the time they sold their parents' property and they shared it, and they didn't do anything with it. Meanwhile, out of the many children, let's say 4, some of them they were able to do business with that money, and they are doing fine. Meanwhile, 1 or 2 of those children
are not doing the same.
They can't even find the money. They can't even find the money.
What has cultural practices have to do with inheritance?
Cultural
practices.
Yeah. So inheritance, there are so many cultural practices depending on where we come from. Let's
make our own now.
Okay.
If you have your own, share with us on our social media page.
Like as we say, Oriojori, like equally. Then we have some that will say we will have to share it according to
the age.
The age, according to seniority. Then if it is 2 wives, they have to share it between the mothers. So they rather share it equally or the same way. So that's one. There's this issue of a family who did the equally thing, and this man had 5 wives.
Okay. What is now left?
And is like five.
It must be a rich man.
5-story building, or no, 4-story building.
Just
so
one property.
5, yes.
Okay.
They had other properties, but
Okay.
this particular one, that's what the way it was shared. The other one has not been shared, and now the children are old enough. The time the father died, they were younger. They did it that way. Now they are old enough. The seniors, senior white children, they will be far older than the other
Of course.
ones, and it was something that it took God to intervene. By the time the thing came, the trouble came, one is because they have to share, it's equally they did. And at the end of the day, first wife, when they collect money for one flat, share the one flat, then the last person, maybe it's just one child, he gets, let's assume it's 800,000.
That means the first wife will have more because she has 5 kids.
The 5
and
kids
the second
will share
one
800.
Oh,
and those 9 children.
but
or
some will not share it that way. Some will like, okay, the first wife maybe had 4 or 5 kids. So those children, the number of kids you have will have come up who send you? Now me come say you can't become second wife in my husband's house. They will give the first wife 5 kids, like that. Now the second wife has just 2. They'll give her 2. What has to do with the 2?
Some they don't do it that way in some places.
Yeah?
Like it has also to
this is punishment.
Exactly, it's a big punishment.
This is punishment.
It's a big one.
Because if the wife and they're giving them maybe for 5 million and she has 5 kids, the first wife they collect 25 million.
So
that will be sweet, that will be sweet. Because you have like 25 million. The second wife, now only one, take away. The third wife gets like 3. Now I get 15 million. Low.
Like, so it depends on the elders in the family. And it also depends on their emotional state at the time of sharing the property. Sometimes we don't reason well when we are troubled, when we are still grieving.
Mentally.
Instead of them to take a time, because there was no will.
And they're in a hurry to just
and they just want let's just share this thing so that the whole thing will not be there. They're laying value, so they just did it. And the time they're supposed to rectify, it was too late.
It's too late.
So
does identity have anything to do with inheritance?
Very well.
How? In what way?
Like I said earlier, beyond you just giving your child a name, you need to attach that name with good values. Good name. It said a good name is better than riches.
Yeah.
So that identity of, you are looking like your father, you behave like your father. You have, it can mar you or make you. It can mar you or make you.
Can get into your head.
Yes. You can say, I'm just like my father, I'm just like my mother, and before you know it, you are off the ladder. Because even some people will treat you the way they treat or they see your parents. Like somebody will say, don't marry someone who you don't want to give birth, and the child will look exactly after.
Okay, we have many people who will tell you that the inheritance they got is cost. Or is spiritually, they go through some spiritual process before the inheritance can be passed on. Meanwhile, this young man or young lady decide to, do whatever it may cost him or her to get the property from the parents. And there's some cultural, process
that you have to go through
before that property is taken over in that particular family. How do one work this out with a child who decides to kill the father or the mother as is gone or nowhere to be then, to now lay claim forcefully to this inheritance.
That's big danger.
Yeah, big danger.
It's big danger, because since it has been said that the inheritance is cost, or maybe the process of even building the assets was also cost. That's another way. As in the process of acquiring the assets, it wasn't good enough, was shady or so, you can definitely lose it. So, and after you have killed your parents, what do you have to gain? It means that you don't even have anything to inherit. Because even that thing that you have inherited, there is no peace there. So what is there to gain in it? So mentally you'll be affected, spiritually you'll be affected, and in all regards you won't be able to live a good life for yourself.
Now, what's the difference between entitlement and inheritance?
Entitlement
and inheritance.
Okay.
Because like the story, okay, let me talk about the story of a young boy, I think Joy mentioned it, who killed the woman who adopted him. It was all grown, and because the woman did not come out to, you know, tell him that he was adopted, I think in a process, and the woman was like, go and meet the people who told you are adopted, because the woman did not have her own child, so she was forced to go for adoption. She decided to go for adoption. Now, in that process, that's one. Two, a child who was demanding from the father, give me your entitlement that he has just been paid his pension, a whopping sum of money, millions of naira, and he hacked the father to death in the house on the generator so that they will not hear the noise, because the man struggled with him. Let me give you another one. Recently, this one happened somewhere in Ogun State. It's in the papers, and I saw it on social media too. They tied the man hand to the back. You know, when you tie a goat in the living room, and now put something on his neck. It was by the noise, the noise he was making while they were trying to do all that. The neighbors heard, and they had to force themselves in. The wife and the 4 boys, I think 4 or 3 boys, the children, they had to get some people to come and do all those criminal activity in his living room. Why? Because he got his pension, restocked the wife's 2 shops, and he bought himself a car. He settled the children as well with whatever I think, you know, just for the meantime. And he bought himself a car. He's still alive. And when they started talking, okay, this man went out again to sell the car he bought for himself because he was trying to avoid trouble. Now they want to demand the money from the man. And because it was not forthcoming, it was only by grace and sheer luck that he was not dead in the process of all those, you know, activity they took him through. What do we call this? Entitlement to get your inheritance, or what's the difference between these two?
So entitlement, it means that you are entitled to it, but there's this mind, they say, entitlement mentality, where you have people somewhere, because you are my sister, you are entitled to help me. Because you are my father or you are my husband, you are entitled. So you now put it on your mind that they must be the one to give you this financial breakthrough you want. They must be the one to give you life. Like they have gone to the extreme. That's why they went to that extreme, because they believe that they needed to take all that man had. If they see him as their father and he's still alive, what do they want to have beyond them seeing their father? In fact, I would say that maybe he's not their father.
So at what time do you think a child is entitled to ask for his right? Is it even right for you to demand for your inheritance? should we give them? Do we have to give them when they ask for it? Or we need to, you know, prepare a process by which at age 21, you have certain amount of money that will help you. And this is only for studies. This should take you through your university days or take you through your master program at a certain. How do one now make it easy so that one will not find themselves to blame with the rate at which our young ones are so much into, you know, quick money. They want money at, you know, at a very young 16, 17, before they are even 18. They are looking out for money.
They want to ride the best car.
So what would be your advice to help us out in this?
My advice is, as parents, we should have a plan. We should have a plan. Sit with the children, have a plan. This is what I have, this is what you have. And I need you to get to this stage. Like a father who has a child who aspire and want to be a footballer. The boy was so much interested in becoming a footballer. The father told him, I'm not saying you should not become a footballer, but you have to go to school first. When you go to school, pick a course that you want to study. Study the course. At the long side, you are also, in between that, you are also going for football practices, going to clubs to learn. And if you do well, that's it. And that was how the boy had to sit down and behave himself, because all what he had was footballer has money. You know, if you sit down counting the money, counting how
the
much
money makes the world go round.
And this one and each time was end this thing. So we need to sit these children down and let them see why we are doing this thing. Let them see love in what we are also doing. Because if they don't see love in what they are doing, they think that we hate them. It can end up in the other story. So let them see the love. Oh, at this certain time, when your child is suffering, you have a house, you have 3 cars. What's the essence of your child suffering when you have all those things? As a father, we shouldn't be wicked, or as parents, we shouldn't be wicked.
Because you are training them.
You're saying you are training them. Foot them. Let them stand on their own. Train them enough to be able to stand on their own. What's the essence of you?
But some will say, in my own time, I will walk. I will work, you too go and work. Yes, I have all this. They are for you later, but right now, no.
It's such a case.
How do we help our parents? That's our final word as we go. How do we have let our parents know that we need to be diplomatic as a team coach? How what's your word for them?
So
your word of advice?
As parents, we need to do more by understanding the situation. We need to also do more by stop comparison. Your sister, she got this at this age, she got that at that age. So we are also comparing because this one has achieved better, doesn't have to depend on you to be able to stand. Then the other one maybe is still struggling to stand and say, look at your sister, look at how they are doing, look at this one, they don't have to depend on me. You need to embrace that child. See the areas he has been working, appraise those areas that he has been putting effort in, and put him through the areas he's struggling with and set him up.
Thank you so much, Deborah's mama. We've been talking with Deborah Ariore. She is a teen and a marriage coach and also a mental health therapist. Thank you so much for always showing up and looking dazzling. Unfortunately, Lida is not here to come and start snatching your glasses and everything. Anyway, it's so good to have you always. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.